listeners. This is. All right, you can stop. So I
Okay.
made a mistake. I did a 90s Pixar blooper.
Yep.
All right.
So, welcome to Infinity and Beyond, where we look back at all the. I still don't have an intro.
Yeah. We still don't have an intro.
Well, I'm Daniel,
And I'm Jarron.
and we're here to talk more about past Pixar films in preparation for Onward.
That we are.
Yeah. We were hoping to get our first guest on this podcast, but scheduling just didn't allow for it. We'll make it up somehow.
We'll make it up by making this our best episode yet.
Yeah. We picked a good movie for it.
We did. So today's episode, our fourth episode, is the fourth Pixar film, Monsters, Inc., directed by Pete Docter.
And Lee Unkrich and Dan Silverman. I mean,
That's right.
It's basically a Pete Docter film.
Yeah. So the first thing you notice is the first Pixar film to not be directed by John Lasseter in some way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if we dug through the credits on IMDb, we'd find something of his name on there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he produced it or executive produced.
Yeah, I mean, how could he not? At this stage, he was like the only person they had who could really do that.
Yeah. Anyway, let's dig right into the plot of Monsters, Inc.
All right, so I think I'll take this part. I watched this movie this morning, so it's fresh in my brain.
Oh, nice. I was watching it the other night when I was sick.
Okay.
I'm doing much better today, so
that's good.
Last time.
Glad you know.
Listening to last week's episode, I was like, wow, I sound really rough.
I think you'll sound much better this time around.
Here's hoping.
All right, so Monsters, Inc. is a story of Mike and Sully. They are basically a team who work at a place called Monsters, Inc. Their job is to scare children and collect the screams for energy. Usually they're on top of things, but one day a freak accident occurs and a child, the most toxic thing in the world, breaks into their world through the magical doors they use to basically jump into kids' bedrooms. It's a very complicated plot to explain, actually.
It's a complicated plot for sure, but strangely enough, one of Pixar's tightest screenplays.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, so we'll get into all that in a sec, but the little kid, a little girl they call Boo, she made it through, and at first it's trying to figure out how to get her back, and then they uncover a little bit of a conspiracy with Monsters, Inc., involving a villain who I'm sure nobody expected to be a villain.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the bare bones stuff.
Indeed.
So what did you think about this one, now that we're returning to it?
I still really like it. I still think it's one of the best.
Yeah, it's really good. Monsters, Inc. for me was in a similar situation that I was with the Toy Story. Basically, now that I'm thinking about it, like the first two Toy Stories and A Bug's Life really passed me by, and so did this movie. Like I wasn't really aware of Pixar films as a kid until Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
So for this one, I was in high school when I saw it the first time.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. I was even later to this one than I was to Toy Story.
Wow. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a little nuts. I think watching it the second time through, I loved it the first time, and I still love it. I think I just appreciate it a little bit more because now that I'm not just focusing on, oh, what's going to happen next, I can see all the details, all the little bits of construction that they do to make these films happen.
Yeah. Dare I say this is the one that proved Pixar was not a fluke.
That's interesting. Can you elaborate? Because we had other films before this that I could say might fill that role.
Well, I mean, I guess they kind of all are because they all introduce something new to the table. Toy Story was the one started it all and proved that you could make a computer-generated film. A Bug's Life was the first one to prove that. Well, it definitely had something to prove in that it wasn't Toy Story. Toy Story 2 had to prove that you could be a sequel. But this one, it was almost like you had three big hits in a row. And now you had to secure the fourth one. You had to secure this whole thing could keep going. Because Toy Story 2, you were returning the world of Toy Story, a thing people already liked. A Bug's Life was like riding the success of Toy Story. This was wholly original and had to do with such a not an obtuse plot, but a
A lot
plot
of
not
moving parts.
yeah, a lot of moving parts. So maybe this wasn't the one to prove that it wasn't a fluke, but it definitely helped
Okay.
in solidifying Pixar's dominance.
I think this one could be said to be something of that nature, just because it's the first one that you don't have John Lasseter in the director's chair.
Yeah,
So it's like, are these other guys going to be able to step up to the plate? Not that they haven't already been proving themselves in major ways. I mean, Leon Critch on the last Toy Story, Pete Docter with all his writing credits.
yeah. Andrew Stanton.
Well, Andrew Stanton doesn't really have a directing credit on this one.
Yeah. No, I'm
Because
saying
the other guy is David Silverman, who would go on to make the Simpsons movie.
interesting. Yeah, I was saying Stanton in general because he co-wrote Toy Story 1 and 2.
Yeah, but I mean, like he didn't have much of a hand in this one as he did in the others, so I was
Yeah.
just kind of leaving him out. He'll get his time to shine
Next week.
But yeah, I was really happy to return to this one because um, Pete Docter is probably my favorite Pixar director,
Same.
uh, and we'll talk about like his films more in the future. But I do feel like he's improved with each one,
Yeah,
and considering he has another film coming out in a couple of months, I'm excited.
he does, yeah.
But like, he has probably the most like critical acclaim out of all the other directors too, because I feel like he's been nominated for the most Oscars,
Yeah.
which is a stupid way of measuring this kind of stuff. But like, it's one thing to be nominated and win a Best Animated Picture, but like he's been nominated for Best Writing a couple of times. He's been nominated for Best Picture with Up.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not like Leon Kirch also hasn't gotten a few things like that as well, but Doctor just seems to do it the most consistently.
Yeah.
And also, I just really like his stuff.
Absolutely.
All right, so
Let's get into the characters.
yeah, let's dive in. Um, I have to say, I think Mike and Sully is my favorite Pixar duo up to this point.
Yeah.
Because like Woody and Buzz are great, don't get me wrong, but like I spend most of Toy Story 2 separated, most of the first Toy Story fighting.
They're
Like
not really a duo, if you think
Yeah,
about it.
Mike and Sully are the duo though. They like there's definitely like a wrinkle thrown in with Boo, but I mean they start the film together, they end the film together. They're pretty much always together throughout the movie, outside of a few scenes. And like they just have such a fun dynamic.
Yeah.
Like
It really is a classic kind of buddy, odd couple kind of pairing.
I wouldn't even really say that they're an odd couple. Like they're not really at odds most of the time. Uh,
Yeah.
it really like the film does such a good job of like presenting them as like these are good friends who have been good friends for a long time, and like all their dialogue just kind of like really. I'm trying to find my words here, but their dialogue really sells it.
Yeah.
Like just like their morning routine, uh, like really all the scary feet, scary feet, scary feet,
Yeah.
all that stuff, and the Mike getting excited for the commercial.
Oh, the commercial.
And Sully just kind of like picking him up and putting him in his chair.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's just so many small things like that that really make them feel like a duo in a way we haven't had from a Pixar movie before this point.
Yeah.
Because, like we were saying with Toy Story, Woody and Buzz are a duo, but they're kind of not. And then A Bug's Life doesn't really have a duo.
Not really.
It's pretty much the Flick show, and
Yeah, and the circus bugs.
and everyone else is a side character.
Yeah. And Pixar would obviously continue to go on with duos, which we'll get to later, but this kind of solidifies the buddy aspect.
Yeah. If the Toy Stories hadn't already.
Yeah, for sure. Particularly the first one. Anyway, we can talk about the characters individually. James P. Sullivan is a giant blue monster with fur that I'm sure was incredibly hard to animate in a movie that was released in 2001.
Yeah, they were not like they were still figuring out their fur technology in the process of making this film.
Yeah.
And like they've nailed it now.
Yeah.
Like you look at Bing Bong or
even Sully in Monsters University.
Even Sully and Monsters University, yeah. Like they solidified the technique later, but they did not slouch on making it work for this one.
Yeah. Still looks really good, too.
It holds up.
This whole movie still looks really good.
Yeah, there was one point early on during the trainee trying to scare the dummy, and I was like,
yeah,
that human model doesn't look very real. But then, oh no, it's
a dummy.
Electronic, so
yeah.
So they deliberately
kind of excuse it.
Yeah, they deliberately made it look not human.
Yeah.
So, what would you say you like most about Sully?
I think in general his like demeanor and personality, and that he's
mostly that chill guy at work that has his shit figured out.
yeah, for sure.
And I mean, like, he definitely has an arc in this one. He starts off. He's not really like obsessed with becoming the top scarer. More like he knows it's going to happen, and he's just kind of reveling in his rise.
Yeah.
And it's really like growing to care for Boo that really shakes him. Not to realize like what he was doing before was shallow, but like what he was doing before wasn't all that important.
Yeah. Well, the one thing in his connection with Boo is that Pixar films, somebody talked about it, tend to be about fathers or father figures.
More often than not, I would say.
Yeah, you could argue Woody is like a father figure for Andy, especially considering if he
argue it. I think it's kind of obvious.
Yeah, especially if he belonged to Andy's father. But Boo, especially, Sully especially, is kind of a father figure. And we'll get into this more with Finding Nemo with Marlin.
Finding Nemo, Incredibles.
Well, yeah, especially Incredibles.
Yeah, like those are two films back to back about actual dads.
Yeah.
But like, Boo and Sully, like, I think they had a really good dynamic because, like, he was starting to warm up to her, like, as the film goes on. But what really got him to like hanging out with her was that bathroom scene where she was, jumping out from the stalls and trying to scare him.
Yeah.
And I like that. Scaring was the thing that kind of like really started to crack his armor, because of course it was. That's his whole life.
Yeah.
And of course you have on the other end Mike Wazowski, who in this film is not all that concerned with being a scarer.
Yeah, because he already. I don't know if we can spoil Monsters University, but
Well, this movie spoils Monsters University, so
well, yeah,
that's the thing about prequels. Yeah, in this movie, um, Mike's arc is a little more understated, and that's probably why they chose to focus on him for university.
yeah,
Like he has to come around to Boo as well, and all that, but there's not really like a big character flaw he needs to overcome.
yeah,
Or a moment of growth.
yeah. He's just kind of a good comic relief.
Good comic relief and just a good friend.
Yeah, I'm swallowing Gatorade, but yeah, and they're a great duo. The way they play off each other,
Yeah, and
especially when they kind of have a little bit of a falling out later on.
oh yeah, in the Himalayas.
That's one thing this movie does really well. Technically, is the snow.
Oh yeah, lots of little particles this movie has. Like we had already seen dust in Toy Story, but this one takes it to another level.
Yeah,
And again, I think it's just the technology's improving. They really want to flex it the way they were flexing depth of focus in Toy Story 2.
yeah. When you're Pixar, you can flex.
Yeah, because like there wasn't a lot of like depth of focus changing in this movie, and it was like all over too. So I think it really was a case of they were really excited about it for Toy Story 2, and now it's just one more tool for this movie.
Yeah,
So other characters, I think there's like four we can really talk about.
yeah.
And do you want to like touch on Randall first, or Boo, or Waternoose, or
Randall, I guess, because I think he's an interesting character.
yeah? Let's have our Randall pull up the stats on this Randall.
That's right. Here we go. Yeah, Randall.
Fact check.
Anyway, Randall Boggs, the lizard man. He's such a cool design.
He is. He almost looks too much like a lizard, because more of these monsters look more like things that you would never see in real life, and Randall kind of breaks that trend.
Yeah, which is
But
kind of important later.
yeah, but it's not in like a negative way, I would say,
Yeah,
because he's still giant. He's crawling all around, and he's got his little camo powers.
yeah. That's a cool power to have.
Oh yeah, there are so many good moments in this film when he's using it. Like,
And he can just go invisible. Like,
oh yeah, I was just
he
thinking.
can't do it on command. Except he can.
Except he can.
I just wanted to throw that reference in there.
But I was
Wait, have we referenced Into the Spider-Verse every episode?
You have,
I have.
because you love that movie.
I do.
I love it too. Don't worry. I was just thinking of like that one scene where Sully was hiding under the table, and he has no idea where Randall is, and then Randall just kind of like phases in right next to him.
Yeah.
Like that was probably the best like spike of tension in this movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Randall. So it's kind of presented that he really cares about becoming the top scarer in the beginning, and then it feels like his personality just becomes more, oh, he's evil.
Yeah.
And I mean, he still has that motivation. Like he even says, like when he's running this place, even Sully will be working for him, and that's what he kind of wants. He just wants to be on top, and if he can't become top scarer, he might as well run the company.
Yeah. Oh, and this ties into the Kingdom Hearts stuff because his arc is kind of expanded on.
Let's do what we did with Toy Story 2 and just kind of push
Save it to the end.
Save to the end.
Yeah. Anyway, our
Tell me
next
Mike is
character.
a weep, aren't you?
What?
You're gonna tell me Mike is a weep this time, are you?
I wish. I wish there was something like that this time around.
Okay, well, before we get to that stuff, so I don't know if there's much else to say about Randall. I think he's a strong villain.
Yeah.
I still think either Sid or Hopper is probably the best Pixar villain at this point,
Yeah.
and that's going to change in a big way in a few weeks.
Yeah.
But I think Randall's definitely a solid addition to their little lineup of villains.
The Rogues Gallery.
Yeah, the Pixar Rogues Gallery. We're just going to get a Pixar Suicide Squad one of these days.
Oh no.
Pixar theory confirmed, and we're doing it so we can have all the villains team up.
Oh, why?
I wouldn't mind like a fan film like that, but
Yeah.
but nobody official should even be considering that.
Put Patrick Willems on it.
What if David Ayer directed Pixar Suicide Squad?
Nope. All right, on to our next character.
All right, so let's go. Let's talk about Boo.
Yeah.
There isn't too much to say because her personality is basically very young child.
Yeah.
She was never all that annoying though, which I appreciated.
No, not at all. Most of her antics were just kind of just a kid.
Yeah. I feel like if this were like a DreamWorks film, Boo would be pretty annoying.
Or that butt ugly kid from Ice Age.
Mm.
I don't know why I've not thought about Ice Age in like years.
Well, that's not even DreamWorks. That's Blue
I know. It's Blue Sky,
Oh.
which Disney owns Ice Age now.
Oh yeah. Well, we can binge Blue Sky after we finish the Pixar podcast.
I really don't want to. They have like 0 good movies.
I've heard good things about the Peanuts movie.
I own that on Blu-ray. I've never watched it though.
Okay.
Anyway, we're getting off topic. Back
to Boo. One thing I really appreciate about this movie is that restaurant scene where like Boo breaks out. I could have swore I like remembered like there was a whole segment where Boo was just like almost discovered, but then somebody would like jump in front of her or she would duck away or whatever. And it would just be like this really annoying, like dragged out sequence. But
That sounds like some kind of weird Mandela effect you had.
Yeah. Maybe it's just because like that kind of thing happens so often in like kids media, like, oh no, they're gonna be found out. Oh wait, no, just barely missed it.
It's a trope.
Very much so. And this movie just pretty much doesn't bother with it at all because Boo being discovered by the rest of the monster world really ramps up the tension and the plot.
Yeah. And I just want to say I love the reference with the restaurant name.
It is pretty good.
It's a good reference.
I understood that reference.
Yeah.
So
on to Waternew.
Yeah, because we touched on everything we can with Boo.
Yeah.
Just a little. That's it.
Just a little kid who says kitty.
So I feel like as far as like twist villains go, Waternew's design is just too on the nose for that.
Yeah. Well, the prospector, it was like, oh, he in the show, he was the dumb sidekick who got his butt burned by the fire.
Well,
but Waternews looks like a. Well, I mean, they're all monsters, but you know, only some of them look
things, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like he has just a lot more personality than Prospector did because I kind of touched on this in the Toy Story 2 one, but like Prospector's lines were mostly very manipulating. Like, he pretty much was just manipulating Woody for most of the movie, and then once he
was literally in a box almost the whole time.
Yeah,
he couldn't exactly get out and do much without blowing his cover.
Yeah, but like he just had a heel turn at the end of the movie, and now his personality was just evil.
Yeah.
And Waternews was a little bit more complex than that, I feel.
Yeah, oh, very complex. I think he's one of the better Pixar villains.
Possibly, I don't know if like once we go through and I refresh my memory on all Pixar villains, I'll be able to properly place him in my head.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was a lot of good stuff there. Like I love that he and Randall like sort of had a falling out because he was, really angry about having to banish Sully.
Yeah, he still holds Sully in high regard.
Yeah, and like there was some friction between him and Randall, which was great. Like his motivation, like he wasn't doing this because it's evil. He's doing it because capitalism.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just exploit your resource as much as you can because you need it in the now, and don't worry about the future.
Yeah, and the movie does a great job setting up there's an energy crisis. Like when Mike and Sully are walking to work, and
Yeah,
Sully even says,
we hear about the energy crisis a lot. We don't really see it, and I don't think that's a problem. But
no, but it sets up the villain's plot pretty well. You don't even really need to see it to understand.
yeah, you get the basics of it. I
But
feel
it's also a load of bunk as well, because as we see, Scream energy isn't that sustainable
yeah,
in
it
the
really
first
is.
place.
Like
That it might just be the corporation trying to control the masses, and
forced scarcity.
yeah. And now on Pixar Proletariat Hour.
Yes, this is why Mike and Sully had to seize the means of production, kids.
Free Hong Kong.
Hashtag free Hong Kong.
We're going to get banned in China, but I don't care.
That's okay.
Yeah, I really don't care. Oh, man, speaking of, and this is going to date the episode, are you excited for BlizzCon this weekend?
Oh no. No, I am not.
I'm very excited.
It'll be interesting to see what happens, but it's going to be a mess.
Hey, you know who else is in Kingdom Hearts?
Oh no.
Winnie the Pooh.
Banned in China.
Yep.
Well, I mean, it was made in Japan anyway, so banned in China by default.
Yeah. Actually not, because when Kingdom Hearts 3 was coming out in China, there were like press screenshots of the game. And in the Winnie the Pooh world, all the characters just screenshots of Sora with all the other characters and just a big white like blur. I'm not kidding. Look this up. Anyway, back to Monsters
back
Free
to
Hong Kong.
Yeah, so the movie basically ends with Mike and Sully seizing the means of production.
I mean, it literally does.
Yeah. And I mean, like, there's no reason why they shouldn't.
They discover a more sustainable source of energy.
Yeah, once you reveal that laughter is 10 times more powerful than screaming, it's like you get to call the shots because you saved the world from an energy crisis.
Yeah. I mean, Sully is he's still a capitalist at the end because he is CEO.
Yeah.
I have no idea why we start talking about.
Yeah, we don't need to be talking about this stuff until we get to Brad Bird's films and have to debunk the fact that he's not,
Yeah.
Well, Brad Bird is an objectivist thing.
Oh, did you know that The Incredibles is about Randian objectivism?
Oh, no, I did not. Please tell me more.
Anyway, we got really derailed.
Oh, yeah.
Free Hong Kong.
So Mike and Sully sees the means of production, and Waternoose just basically gets arrested.
Yeah, he gets banished, right? Does he get banished?
The last we see of him, he's thrown in the CDA car, and they do that whole close the door thing.
Maybe I had some kind of Mandela effect with him getting banished. Not that there was it was being shown, but I think it mentioned.
I mean, like, he probably will be because his plan did revolve around bringing kids into their world, which is against the law.
Yeah, it's not toxic, but it's against the law.
So even if he's not banished, he's going to be in jail for a while.
Yeah. Any other important characters?
We could mention like Celia. She's more of a side character, but
Yet again, just the kind of just their love interest to one of the characters.
yeah, I feel like she could have been included in the plot more.
I can't wait till Monsters Inc. 2 when Celia is like a action girl.
Uh, her design was great though. I love the snake
The
hair.
snakes, yeah,
The
the
snakes were great.
Medusa
I love
type.
the way their rattles would just like start going off whenever she was angry.
Yeah.
Like, I was like,
Or
oh,
when she was like, "Oh, I'm thinking about getting my hair cut," and the snakes get scared.
this thing's like,
How does that work?
I don't know.
But it's
But
funny.
they are probably very grateful for Mike for just convincing her to keep her hair long.
Yeah.
But yeah, she doesn't have too much of a personality. She's mostly just in love with Mike and then angry at Mike.
Hmm.
She does have that one moment of helping,
Yeah, she does. She turns the plot around.
but it was a small thing because it only delayed Randall. It didn't really stop him.
Yeah. Oh, it's time to talk about our John Ratzenberger character. We didn't bring up. Well, we brought up Ham a couple times last week.
I mean, we didn't specifically mention that was John Ratzenberg, but
Yeah, because we already talked about Ham in the first movie.
so
But the Yeti.
abominable in this one, right?
Yeah. Welcome to the Himalayas. Uh, hey, you want a snow cone? Don't worry, it's lemon.
Yeah.
That's
That
that's
I
still
hadn't
funny.
looked up which character he was playing, and then when I heard Abominable's voice, I'm like, oh, he sounds kind of like Ham mixed with that flea.
Oh, that's literally who it is.
So it makes sense.
Yep. I love that that Mike mentions Bigfoot and the Loch Ness monster were banished.
Yeah, like that's just a nice little joke in the in the moment, and then later on when they actually get banished, oh, there you go, there he is. Yeah, it's
Yep.
just another example of this movie being very tightly constructed.
Yeah, and little foreshadowing and payoff throughout.
Yeah, I
Really
feel
good recurring jokes as well throughout the film. 2319.
yeah, that one ended pretty well. I was feeling bad for that one monster.
Yeah, George.
Uh, and then he just like shoves the sock in his buddy's mouth and throws him into the humor.
Yeah,
Like that's a little unfair, George, but I'm gonna let you have that because you've been
he
abused.
seemed to be having a rough week.
Yeah,
All it takes is one bad day.
I am kind of curious why. It seems like the CDA just kind of puts those little cones on anyone's neck who comes in contact with humans.
You mean the cone of shame?
Holy crap, that's appeared in 2 Pete Docter films.
It has.
Now I got to look for it in Inside Out. But I was kind of wondering, like, what purpose did that serve? Because Celia got one too.
That's right.
Uh, because it's not like they could, like, chew themselves or anything, or that they
Yeah.
even. Because that's the whole point of the cone for dogs. I don't know. I get maybe it was just like a visual shorthand for contaminated or something.
Yeah.
It's weird too because I wasn't even really thinking about, oh, why is that when I was watching the film.
Yeah.
I guess it's just one of those things you really don't dawdle on.
Yeah. Anyway, on to more plot stuff, I guess.
Yeah. So I love that the solution for most situations is Mike needs to hurt himself.
Yeah.
Just,
There's that great scream.
oh, so many good screams.
Are you familiar with perfectly cut screams?
I am not, no.
It's literally just what it is. It's a Twitter account of people screaming perfectly cut. Like it's hard to explain. You just have to look it up.
Okay. I'm guessing Mike Wazowski is on there.
I hope so.
Probably.
One thing, Mike says, "Oh yeah, you've been jealous of my good looks since the fourth grade, pal." But they met each other in college, and so the Dan Scanlon had to say that that's just a phrase that monsters use.
Yeah, like I don't know why people care so much about that.
I don't. I really don't. Although I'm going to start saying that to people who've been jealous since the fourth grade.
We've been doing this podcast since the
fourth grade, even though you and I literally met in college.
Yep. Oh man, we're Mike and Sully.
We are. I don't know who's who, but
I'll put like a poll up on Twitter, and we'll let people decide.
Yeah.
Oh man. So, I'm trying to think of like individual plot moments that we can really talk about, because obviously the climax, but we should probably save that for a sec.
Yeah, because I was talking last week about Pixar's love of big set piece finales.
Yeah, I feel like one pretty solid moment was just like when Randall decided to play along and kind of trust Mike to just put Boo back in the human world.
Mm-hmm.
It was like he could have easily just. I mean, he could have easily just tried to play it off or something, but no, he went for a manipulative option, and it would have worked if Sully hadn't known.
Yeah. Oh, my favorite line in the whole movie. How many kids you got in there? I love that part so much.
Yeah.
It's such a obscure line, but think about it every now and then.
Yeah. I'm glad that didn't last too long with the whole, oh no, we think Boo is dead, but
yeah,
Sully constantly fainting as he sees more and more of the garbage disposal unit was great.
Yeah.
I
also sometimes say in real life, my cousin's sister's daughter.
My cousin's sister's daughter. Like cousin's daughter.
Bring an obscure relative to work day.
Oh, must have missed that memo.
See, like, this movie is so good. The screenplay is one of their best.
Yeah.
So many quotable lines.
Oh man. It's just I think
Wait, Andrew Stanton did co-write this.
Okay, so he does have a
Yeah, he co-wrote it with Dan Gerson, who wrote Monsters Inc., Monsters University, and Big Hero 6.
Pete Docter's on there too with the writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andrew Stanton has written quite a few films for Pixar.
Yeah. Very, very talented.
Yeah.
All right, back to what we were talking about.
We were talking about how quotable this movie is. It's probably because Andrew Stanton worked on it. Because dude, like Toy Story is very quotable. Toy Story 2 is very quotable. Finding Nemo is very quotable.
Yeah.
I guess that there are moments in A Bug's Life that aren't half bad. Like
if I'm being honest, I can't remember any lines from A Bug's Life. Except for, hey, turn your butt off.
Pretend it's a seed.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Andrew Stanton, he wrote Toy Story, Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, WALL-E.
Toy Story 3 and 4.
Co-wrote Toy Story 3. Finding Dory, and co-wrote Toy Story 4.
Yep. So, one thing I liked, like right as we were getting into the third act for this film, back to plot stuff.
Yeah.
was the whole Sully scaring Boo moment.
Yeah.
Because like it definitely is like a moment to get us into Act 3 where the characters like aren't quite friends anymore, but it managed to do that very organically without
Yeah.
having the liar revealed type moment.
Oh, could you imagine?
It's like, Sully, Kitty, you lied to me. You are a monster.
Oh no, could you imagine?
That would have been terrible.
The liar reveal cliche. A bad credit card. Oh no! Okay, so the winner of the poll has to decide which of us gets to play Mike and Sully in our recap skit. Who gets to wear the costume?
Well, if I end up being Mike, I'm gonna go as the armless Mike from the test footage.
Oh man, we could talk about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, would I be Johnson then?
Nah, no, you don't have to.
Or would I be Waternoose and be Johnson Smith, the CEO? Do you know what I'm referencing?
I do not on that account.
Oh, yeah, it's a Pro ZD skit.
Oh, okay.
The great Sungwon Cho.
Oh. Well, I was just thinking, like, of Armless Mike, because I kind of wish that was his design for the movie.
It would have made things a little more creative.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I just like armless characters.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many of the listeners have actually seen the test footage, because it's probably not as well known as the Black Friday reel or something like that.
Yeah. Or even the test footage of Billy Crystal's Buzz Lightyear.
Who turned down Buzz Lightyear but said yes to Mike Wazowski.
Yeah, because he said turning down the role of Buzz Lightyear was the quote biggest mistake of his career.
Oh, absolutely.
But I couldn't imagine the voice of Mike Wazowski as Buzz.
Yeah, we can't imagine it now because Buzz's Tim Allen voice is so ingrained.
Yeah, or Patrick Warburton.
Very true.
In the series, but those are like two totally different characters. So, Toy Buzz is Tim Allen. Show within the universe Buzz is Patrick Warburton. But yeah, if we were in the alternate universe where Billy Crystal voiced Buzz Lightyear, I couldn't imagine.
I wonder if Tim Allen would eventually voice a character in Pixar in that universe, and if it would be Mike Wazowski.
Huh. No, probably not.
No.
He wouldn't fit Mike.
Yeah, Mike is. He might work as a voice for Sully, but
well, even then, John Goodman just is the voice of Sully.
Very true. I mean, I wouldn't mind like the Buzz voice for Sully's voice, but
yeah, Tim Allen could do a good job of it, but
what we got is good too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the voice acting in this is fantastic.
Oh yeah, everybody brought their A game. I don't know who voices Boo.
I'll get Randall. Mary Gibbs. It says here in Wikipedia. The book based on the film gives Boo's real name as Mary Gibbs, the name of her voice actress, who is also the daughter of one of the film's story artists, Rob.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of neat.
Was she a child when she was voicing Boo? Like, did they
Yeah,
actually?
like literally a little kid. Yeah.
Okay. Because when I was watching the film, like, I couldn't decide if like Boo had like an adult voice actress who was just doing a child voice, or if this was like an actual kid.
No. I think they just followed her around the studio while she was just being a little kid, doing little kid things.
They must have had to give her the line Mike Wazowski, though.
Yeah.
I love the way she says it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's a great gag involving that in Dun Dun Dun.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
We haven't even talked about the climax yet.
That's right. The The Door Vault.
Yeah, this one was really good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because I was saying last week, like the Toy Story 2 climax didn't quite do it for me, but I
Yeah,
guess you do that, but yeah, doors, it works.
yeah,
I mean, like the whole, popping in and out of like different parts of the world and then hopping back in, or like when the door is falling and they have to get in before it shatters. Like, they had a lot of creative stuff they did with this one.
yeah, for sure.
I especially liked hitting Randall so he changed colors.
That was good too.
Yeah, that like it was great because it's a funny gag, but it doesn't really like disrupt from the action or anything. Like, it's pretty much just there for the audience to enjoy because the characters don't even comment on it.
Yeah,
And then tricking Mr. Waternoose to confessing his plan.
how they kind of do that in Coco.
Yeah, they do. Uh, Leon Critch borrowed this from himself, I guess.
Maybe
But
that's what they did to John Lasseter.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Uh, like like it had me fooled for a sec because I wasn't like thinking about the last time I had seen this film or anything. So like when Sully burst through the door into what I thought was Boo's room, I was like, dude, Waternoose is just gonna follow you.
yeah,
But no, that they had planned for that, and they just got him in a brilliant callback to the first scene of the movie with the whole explaining what you did wrong thing.
yeah. I mean, like I said, this movie has so many good moments of payoff.
Oh yeah, if it's not going to be called back to, then it's going to be a setup for the plot, or it's going to be just some really creative world building and
Honestly, I
character.
really wish we got a sequel. And I'm one of those people who defends Monsters University, but I think a sequel would have been a better idea.
Well, again, I don't even know where they could go with this because energy crisis solved. Sully and Boo get to hang out in secret whenever they want. Like,
Yeah, I just love the lore of this universe, though. Like, where did Scream Power come to be? What is Monster Society?
well,
I just like to know more of it.
Monster Society is just human society, but they're monsters.
Fair enough.
They even make a lot of jokes about how this world is kind of not designed for monsters at all. Like with that sludge guy who just falls through the grate.
Yeah. Odorant. Oh, you got, I guess, a wet dog.
Wet
Because
dog.
dogs do smell horrible when they're wet.
Oh yeah.
I know my dog. When it's raining, I have to take him out. He smells like a wet dog.
Makes sense.
So the development of this film is pretty interesting, as we kind of touched on with that test reel. There were a few different drafts and ideas.
Yeah, they were finding this film as they made it. Which for something so original, you really kind of have to. It's like
Yeah,
I don't know if I could really compare Monsters Inc. to many films that came before it. It's like this isn't riffing on too many well-established like genre tropes or anything. Like this is a very much it's very much exploring like a childhood myth, the monster in the closet. But
well,
like,
kind of similar to oh, do your toys come to life when you leave the
well,
room? Or
here's the thing: I don't think that many people like have that whole "oh, do toys come to life" thing before Toy Story came out.
yeah, fair enough.
Like after Toy Story, every kid is trying to catch their toys moving when they're not looking at them.
Oh, for sure.
But like the whole "oh, is there a monster in my closet or under the bed" thing? Oh, shoot! Do you think if they did a sequel, would it be about the world of monsters who live under the bed?
Oh, that's kind of
Would
cool.
would that be like Sully is just hanging out with Boo one day in her room and he accidentally like crawls under her bed or something, and he just finds this whole other monster world.
Huh.
Did we just like solve the Monsters Inc. sequel problem?
Maybe.
Do I need to call Pete Docter right now?
Well, funny thing is there was going to be a Monsters Inc. too.
Well, yeah, when Disney owned all the rights and was about to split from Pixar.
Yeah, when they were doing whatever that was.
Yeah, wasn't it going to be like a whole thing about how time moves differently in the monster and human world? So when Sully goes to visit Boo, she's like an old lady or something like that.
No, that was concept art of. I think the plot was that Boo had moved, and in her old house lived an old lady. Because it was going to be about Mike and Sully being lost in the human world, which honestly isn't a terrible idea, and they kind of do something with that in Monsters University, even.
Yeah, kind of. I don't think the monster world and the human world are visually distinct enough to really make that work.
Yeah.
Go to an exotic location like the Himalayas.
Yeah.
Because if they were just
everything
in a human city, it wouldn't look all that different from like that scene where they're just walking to work.
Yeah. I mean, everything in the monster world is kind of monsterified with spikes and multiple eyes and stuff, but like the TV or the stereo or the car.
Yeah, but it's not so alien that you're struggling to understand how it works or anything.
Yeah, I mean they even call it a car, so with the honk honk and the vroom vroom.
Pretty much. It's all solid. It's just a case of if they were to get lost in the human world, they would have to get lost in a place in the human world where it's so different from their own.
Yeah.
Which would also make it very different from like your average viewer's experience of the human world. So
yeah,
it wouldn't be like it wouldn't stick as well, I feel.
Yeah. So maybe it is a good idea they never sequeled.
Unless they do that under the bed idea. I mean, I
kind of like that.
I'm throwing that out there, Pete Docter. I know you're not opposed to sequels because you've been talking about maybe Inside Out 2 one day, but
I wouldn't hate that either.
I mean, he has ideas because Inside Out was very much based on like his experience raising his daughter.
Yeah.
And like his daughter's older now. He's probably got more stories to tell.
Well, that almost kind of makes you think of, I don't know if you're familiar with Jeremy Jahns. I know he's kind of controversial at times. Not for any like big important reasons or like political reasons.
Not a channel awesome controversy.
Huh?
Not a channel awesome controversy with him.
No. Just some people don't like him. But in his video for Toy Story 4, his review, he said, I think every 10 years or so, someone at Pixar has a new idea or something they've learned about life, and they put it in each of the Toy Story sequels. That kind of sounds like what you're saying about Pete Docter with his daughter. Because people grow and people learn, and they put that in their art as time goes on.
Yeah, it's a possibility that it's kind of similar to that. I mean, we don't know for sure if that's how the Toy Story movies get their new things.
It isn't, but it's an interesting thought.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I feel like if there was going to be an Inside Out 2, it would be another situation like with Monsters University where Pete Docter just doesn't direct.
Yeah.
He'd probably have Josh Cooley do it.
Yeah, he is kind of proving himself as a solid director.
Well, yeah, that, but also he's already directed that Inside Out short film.
Yeah, didn't he co-direct Inside Out anyway?
He might have. I don't remember seeing his credits anywhere online about it. He probably had like a very big role in it or something. Well, now we're talking about other films again.
Yeah, films that we won't get to for weeks. If not months.
Inside Out was co-directed by Ronnie Del Carmen.
Huh.
Oh, it looks like Ronnie was also somebody who worked with Pete Docter on a short film before because he did Doug's Special Mission.
I've never seen that.
Well, you should check it out.
Anyway, back to Monsters Inc. Back to
Yeah.
the film we're supposed to be talking about.
Yeah. So
I think we're going into a similar place we have with previous episodes.
kind of. I feel like we've done a better job of staying on track. We've only gotten distracted a few times.
Yeah.
I feel like before we were almost talking around the films. It was like
Yeah.
we would mention a few events in the films, but here we dove a little bit deeper into like the climax and the water noose reveal and Boo being scared and all that.
Yeah. I mean, we're learning as we go on.
Okay, wait. I have a question now. Now that I know that Boo was actually voiced by a child, like, there's no way she could cry on command. How many times did the Pixar staff have to make this little girl cry in order to get all those moments?
That's a question I don't want to think about.
Oh, man. It's no way they're as bad as the Game of Thrones guys, but...
Who recently got knocked off a Star Wars film trilogy.
Oh, wait. Have you heard about what they did behind the scenes on Game of Thrones, though?
No.
There was a scene in Game of Thrones where, like, a baby was, like, on a block of ice, and they actually put the infant on a real block of ice.
Man, Doug Walker wouldn't even do that.
Yeah, that massively fucked up.
Yeah.
And one of them just kept talking about getting close-ups of the baby's genitals the whole time. So, those guys are great. I'm glad they're not working even adjacent to a Disney property anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure the Pixar team didn't do anything nearly as bad to Mary Gibbs to get her to cry, but they definitely had to make her cry for real a few times.
Yeah. Crying on command is one of those things I will just never learn how to do.
I mean, like, you could probably make the sounds. You probably just can't, like, make the tears.
Yeah.
But, like,
I mean,
for
some people can.
For a little kid, like, genuinely crying on command is hard. Like, they probably just had to, like, tell her she couldn't have a cookie or something.
Well, yeah, wasn't there, like, some movie or something where a kid had to cry and they told him, oh, your dog died, but the dog didn't die?
That's awful.
That's messed up.
Yeah. I mean, that's not baby on an ice block messed up, but
yeah,
it's still not good. Yeah.
Anyway, back to the task at hand.
Right. So I think we've talked about the plot, about the characters. How old were you when you first saw this film? I told you I was in high school.
I'm pretty sure I saw it like in the theater in 2001.
So you weren't in the fourth grade, but
no, I was like in kindergarten. and like Toy Story, I had like a lot of the toys and figures, and I really liked this film as well.
I never owned any Monsters Inc. merch. I was a little old by the time I got around to it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there were like little doors that came with the figures that you could like link together.
Oh, that is a good idea for a toy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. I think now we can't avoid the elephant in the room. Tell me
Here we go again.
about the Kingdom Hearts world.
Okay. So going further into Sora, Donald, and Goofy's journey, also each world in the Kingdom Hearts series has its own name. So the Toy Story world is called Toy Box. Monsters Inc. is simply just called Monstropolis. Yeah. Sora, Donald, and Goofy show up at a strange building with them, the three of them noticing how their forms have changed and that they're monsters. Yeah, well, I think Sora mistakes Donald and Goofy for Heartless at first. And yeah, they're freaked out by their new appearances. Also, an interesting thing with how Square works so closely with Pixar is that Pixar had like a style guide for how monsters are supposed to look. So like very specific ways the eyes could look, or the tails, or spikes. So they look like they could just exist in that universe.
Okay.
Sora's spiky hair looks more like tentacles or something.
All right. Because I remember I watched some of those Toy Story cutscenes for Kingdom Hearts, and I was like, they don't really look that much like toys.
Yeah, I mean the point is that there's supposed to be some of them Chinese cartoon figures. They're supposed to look like anime.
Which definitely uh, would have existed in America in the 90s, where the early Toy Story films take place.
Yeah. But yeah, so they're monsters, and they look very, very authentic to the world. And they show up, and Sora's like, "Oh, we scare because we care." That doesn't sound very caring, because he sees it on the front of the building. They think Mike and Sully are heartless at first, and they're like, "Why are you scaring that little girl?" But then they find out that Mike's like, "Oh, we don't do that anymore. We don't scare anymore." Uh, because it takes place after the movie because it's canon. It is the sequel.
So why do they still have the "We scare because we care" motto?
It was like immediately after the first movie. They were still
Oh,
like renovating.
okay.
I don't think they could come up with a good rhyme. We joke because I don't know. Anyway, turns out throughout the factory, creatures called Unversed are showing up, which are previously established in the Kingdom Hearts lore as dark beings who are born from negative emotions.
Okay, but they're not heartless,
They're different from Heartless.
so they have hearts.
Well, Heartless don't not have hearts.
Okay,
Because Heartless literally are hearts. They're the hearts of men who have been corrupted by darkness.
okay.
Yeah. Anyway, Unversed are born from the negative emotions in people's hearts. And they're causing a problem throughout the factory, and they're going through the doors and scaring kids, which is a big no-no these days. And Boo is there because she's on one of her visits. And Boo's door gets lost. They have to go put her back to her room because it's unsafe here.
Just find
And
a store.
yeah, we you get to play the door chase, which is fun.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I was watching
So
this in the film, and I was like, this would be an amazing video game level.
yeah, it's pretty good in the game. Anyway, so they go look for Boo's door, and throughout you encounter Randall again, who's found his way out somehow. He says a nice guy broke me out and set me free. And Randall reveals his plan that he is working with the Unversed because of his ideology that screams and negative emotions are more sustainable than laughter. Because he says, uh, introduce thoughts and emotions that will break these kids' heart. It's longer lasting than just a laugh, which is a fleeting thing that creates longer lasting energy. So the integration of the Kingdom Hearts plot and the Monsters Inc. plot is actually handled pretty well here, with the lore of the Unversed being born from negative emotions, being born from the screams.
As opposed to Toy Story, where it's just like, we split the world in two.
Yeah, I mean that whole thing has to do with hearts and connections and friendship, which is like the theme of all of Kingdom Hearts.
There's a theme of all of Pixar.
Yeah, which does kind of tie in perfectly. And the phrase "you've got a friend in me" really applies to Sora because he has other people's hearts inside of his.
So he's heartful.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the monsters world. The person who set Randall free was Vanitas, who is Sora's dark doppelganger from the inside of his heart, who was once the dark part of Ventus's heart, and Ventus, his heart is inside of Sora, and Vanitas wants to set Ven's heart free out of Sora, so he can gain the other half of his heart back.
And Mike and Sully are there.
They're there, and Sully does the signature scene of the game. Sully jump scares Vanitas, grabs him, throws him through one of the doors, throws that door in another door, and throws that door in another door, and they put the door through the shredder. The scene has affectionately been dubbed by fans as Yeetus Vanitas, because he just yeets him through a door.
That's great.
Yeah. All in all, it's a really fun world. And like with the Toy Story world, the characters are very much in character. And it feels like you're just kind of watching a continuation of the movie that Sora, Donald, and Goofy just happen to be there.
Well, I do have to say, I'm really sad we didn't get a Yeetus Randall moment.
Oh, how could I forget? So they throw Randall back into the door with the hillbillies. They do that again. And you know how Sora's weapon is literally a giant key?
Yeah.
So Sora, the Keyblade can open and close any lock. He literally locks the door forever.
Well, since that's canon, even in a Monsters, Inc. sequel, we'd never see Randall again.
We'd never see Randall. Anyway, that's the complete madness that happens there.
All right. Well, no Rex is a weed moment this time around, though.
No.
Was pretty good.
Yeah, it makes up for it.
I'm still reeling from finding out that Rex likes Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Basically, that universe is equivalent. But do you want to know another thing about the game in Kingdom Hearts?
Sure.
So the game is called Verum Rex, which is Latin for True King.
Uh-huh.
Tetsuya Nomura, the creator of the Kingdom Hearts series, was once working on a game called Final Fantasy Versus 13. Every Final Fantasy is like its own anthology type thing.
Yeah.
With different characters and different worlds each time. You don't have to play 1 through 14 to get 15. So Versus 13 was going to be a spin-off of the 13 universe. Nomura got fired from that game for like corporate meddling reasons. The Versus 13, the Verum Rex stuff, is basically what Versus 13 was going to be.
Okay.
The main character, Yozora, Yozora is Japanese for night sky. The main character in Versus 13, that got retooled into Final Fantasy 15 when Nomura got fired and under a different director. The main character of that is named Noctis Lucis Calum, which is Latin for night sky.
So
Verum Rex is like Nomura's middle finger to getting fired. He gets to use those concepts again, with Yozora being a real character in the Kingdom Hearts canon now, outside of the video game. That's not been explained, but teased.
Well, that definitely is a middle finger.
It is.
Can't say I blame him. It doesn't sound like it was a fun situation to be in when it happened.
It wasn't. He went through like a lot of depression.
Ugh. Well, glad he's doing better? Question mark.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, I think it's time. I think this is our longest episode yet.
Oh no, the Toy Story 2 one was even longer.
Really?
Oh yeah, that one was almost an hour and a half.
That's right.
I'm just gonna look through my notes real quick, make sure I don't have anything else to say. Well, there was only one other thing it looks like I had in here. And that was perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect. It would not have worked if it hadn't, like, just ended on that whole Boo Kitty moment and then just
Yeah.
faded to black. Like, just let us imagine their reunion in our heads.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, I think that was pretty much all my notes. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to say about Monsters Inc.
Not really, other than it's just really good.
Yeah. Oh wait, there was one more thing. I'm sorry. I just wanted to mention I love the credit sequence for this one because
Yeah.
I think this is the first time Pixar has really done 2D animation for anything.
Yeah. Oh, the title sequence in the credits, yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I couldn't let that go by without mentioning because it's as much a landmark for the studio as anything else they're doing in their early days.
Yeah. And the music.
Oh,
The like jazz score by Randy Newman is quite good.
yeah. I feel like the end credit song not nearly as iconic as "You've Got a Friend in Me."
Well, yeah.
It's clearly trying to be that song.
Yeah.
It's not
The friendship anthem.
it's not bad, but I
No.
watched this film earlier today, and I could not sing you a verse from that song. Whereas "You've Got a Friend in Me" is still in my head.
Yeah, it's iconic.
So yeah, I think that should be everything from my end.
Yeah, same here.
It was good to revisit this one. Just
Yeah,
got
absolutely.
a good movie,
Yeah. All in all, good.
and I'm really excited about Finding Nemo next week.
Yeah. Well, isn't it gonna be fun when we get to Cars 2? When we get to the bad one? And we can finally have something something to say other than it's bad and it's good.
Yeah, something other than voracious praise and the occasional criticism. It'll
Mm-hmm.
just be voracious criticism and maybe one praise.
It looks good. Some of the action scenes aren't that bad.
Well, Lightning McQueen was in character.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cars 2 is going to be fun. But
Yeah.
Finding Nemo, really excited about because now we're finally getting to films that I saw as a child.
Yeah.
I got nostalgia for this one coming up.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, we will reconvene for that.
We will tune in next week for chills, thrills, and underwater spills with
And
Finding
yes.
Nemo.
Okay. I've been Daniel.
And I've been Jarron.
And this has been To Infinity
And beyond.